Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you joining us from further east than the Pacific. I'm Adrian McIntyre. Welcome to our Moonshotters Roundtable. Very excited for the conversation that we're going to have today because we're joined by a number of outstanding founders and a few leading champions. And we're going to have conversations in a very back and forth collaborative way about the unique contribution of each of these companies, but also, and more, I think more importantly, their vision for innovation, what they're working on, the problem that solves, and really some of the implications of that for other aspects of their industry. I'm going to be taking a light touch to moderating today. We really want the conversation to be collaborative, and our virtual table here is round. What I mean by that, the implication of that, is that there's not the champions on one side peppering the founder with difficult questions in some sort of combative way, as some of you may have experienced in other phases of your journey. We're here together to look together at an interesting set of challenges, problems, opportunities, and really have each one on our panel, our founders and our champions, have an opportunity to really engage together in thinking about the future. So I'm pleased to introduce, first of all, our champions. We're joined by Alex Mojtahidi, who is the founder and CEO of Create New Ventures. Radhika Jadcherla is partnership lead for the 5G labs at Verizon. Eran Savir is managing director at Entango Ventures. And David Walsh, founding partner at Extranet Venture Partners. I want to give our champions a chance to just speak for themselves for 1 to 2 minutes each and say a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, how you got there, and more importantly, kind of what matters to you right now. What are you really looking at? What are you seeing? So this is just a short introduction, but Alex, we'll start with you since alphabetical seems to be the order of the day. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you're doing.
Yeah, so thank you so much everyone for joining us today. I'm Alex, and as you can probably know by now, I'm the founder and managing partner at Create New Ventures. Before joining and starting Create New Ventures, I was managing director at Plug and Play Tech Center, and I managed $10 million fund, invested in 18 companies, and also I founded the media and advertising practice at Plug and Play in partnership with Amazon teams in Seattle, AMC Networks, USPS in Washington, and Entango Ventures, and many other great champions and companies across different regions. So currently we have LPs at Create New Ventures, and we are wrapping up $10 million fund, focus on earlier stage investment in like up to 500K. And actually one of our moonshotters, Influx.ai, I'm really happy to announce that they closed a few $1 million seed round last week. And you know, they're going to announce it in the next month, but I'm happy to be here with you guys and try to build this community for everyone.
Marvelous. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for everything you're doing on behalf of the broader community, as well as the specific work you're doing on the investment side. Eran Savir with Entango Ventures, give us a little intro to you and your work.
So good morning, everyone, or good evening from Tel Aviv. So my name is Eran, and I manage Entango Ventures. We're a corporate VC investing in early stage pre-seed and seed digital marketing, advertising technology, and direct to consumer. I come from an entrepreneurial and technological background. I got my first computer at the age of 10. I taught myself to write code. Computers were less complicated back then, but also less functional. And at the age of 22, I went teaching to programming, and also went to law school, and also got my first job at a startup that was then acquired by SAP. I spent 6 years at SAP in various positions in engineering and product management. And then after 6 years, I left to start my first startup. And then I did 3 startups in a row. I did 2 exits. The startups were in various industries. All were in internet, SaaS. So that was customer experience management, 3D, printing marketplace, travel tech, social. I'm very excited and to join the forum here. I very much enjoy um, talking and meeting with entrepreneurs, especially in the early stage. So that's where my passion lies, and good luck to everyone.
Wonderful, Eran. Thank you so much for being here. David Walsh, you've joined us from the East Coast, I believe. Thanks so much for being here. Folks got to know you in a much more deep and personal way in our first fireside chat. But why don't you take 2 minutes here, David, and just give us, those who may not be familiar with you and your background, a sense of who you are and what currently matters to you. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I got my start in the fintech space, from there, I ended up starting a few different companies and sold them. One I took public and sold. But my background had really been fintech, but I've spent a lot of time in the telecommunications and software space. And where I'm focused on right now is primarily in the SaaS space. We really like the recurring revenue. We like markets that are in transition. We think that COVID has been perfect for a lot of those markets, like unified communications and CPaaS and others. Look at the value of Zoom. It's just hard to. I think it's got a $60 billion valuation. It's stunning. So that's kind of where we're focused right now. And, what I just heard was we like to study companies in their early stages. That's really our passion as well, because we're entrepreneurs, we're builders. We've made a lot of investments in large companies as well, but my passion personally is in helping people build companies literally from scratch.
Those of you who didn't have a chance to check out David's conversation with Tracy in our first fire chat, I urge you to do that. There's some fascinating insights in there about how data can make you a better lacrosse player or coach, and many other interesting things. David, thanks so much for bringing your experience to this panel. Our last champion on the list is Radhika Jodhchirla with Verizon. Radhika, welcome. Can you please give us, and by the way, thank you so much for joining at short notice. We really appreciate that. Can you give us a little introduction to you, your vision, your work?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex, for inviting me. Very impressive speakers you guys have here. Champions, I would say. Make it very short and sweet. I started with multinationals, but I felt that it's much better. My energy and my potential is better suited for smaller companies. So I work with the multiple startups. 3 of them were big success. 2 of them folded. I worked with 4 venture firms. And today I head the 5G Labs of Silicon Valley, where we focus on startups, enterprise customers, as well as universities. And the goal is to see, being a telco provider, we are a service provider. So our goal is to see which disrupt we can support and what is the best way to support. So if any of you or any of your friends have startups which can align to 5G or to want to test on the network, please feel free to reach out to me. Our doors are always open.
Marvelous. Thank you so much for being here. Our format for this session, let me switch us back so we can see everyone. As I said earlier, really is a round table. And so how this is going to work is each of our founders who are joining us will be introducing themselves in a minute, are going to have 18 minutes total for their segment. And how this is going to work is unlike a typical pitch session where the founder needs to somehow prove something and demonstrate a certain value and certain opportunity and things of that nature. We're really interested in hearing from them about their company, about their backstory, kind of what got them here. But we're using this as a springboard to a conversation about broader issues and implications for others in the industry. So the back and forth conversation with our champions is designed to be as much collaborative thinking and brainstorming together and really looking from the same side of our round table. That's not really possible, but that's the spirit of it anyway, looking out at the future. So we're going to start with Ali Wolodarski, who is the founder and CEO from VACAYZ, also joining us from the Eastern Mediterranean. Ali, thanks so much for being here this evening, your time. And we'll turn the floor over to you. You're welcome to share your screen if you like. After you say your bit, then our champions will engage with you in a conversation. Go ahead, Ali.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Ali, and I'm the founder of VACAYZ. We're providing hosts and hoteliers advanced payment on bookings. I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I was born in Israel, Tel Aviv, and I moved to the US when I was 12 years old. My mom pretty much put me there in school, and she went back to Israel. So I grew up by myself, which kind of gave me all the strange and brought me to where I am right now, being very independent. At the age of 19, I opened my first business. My first business was helping small businesses grow. I took businesses from revenues of $50,000 a month to $100,000, $200,000, and even $400,000 a month. How did they do that? By opening virtual locations around the US. I myself opened about 30 different locations. All of them were virtual. We were only helping services businesses to generate leads that were sold to freelancers and third-party companies in the area for 50% profit. I was doing that for 8 companies in my portfolio, and they were very, very successful. When I realized that these are not my companies and I'm making great retainer, but I'm not making any equity, that's when I wanted to kind of focus and build something on my own. I actually went to California for a month. I had a beautiful apartment in Times Square, and I said to myself, there's no way I'm leaving the apartment empty for a whole month. And so I decided to rent it out on Airbnb, and that's how it all started. That first year, I started building my Airbnb business. I had 5 properties running on Airbnb and 5 properties only, and I made over $3 million so far in profit just from 5 properties on Airbnb. My first year, I made $1.2 million, and that's how it all started. By doing that for a couple of years, I realized and noticed the in and out of the vacation rental industry and the frustrations that many hosts like me experience. And that's when I realized that there has to be a better software that would help hosts generate more leads, get to a much higher occupancy rate, and of course, help others by doing that and build a much strong network of hosts. So we started off by building a property management software, and during COVID-19, we decided to create something even more amazing, because what happened is that 90% of reservations have been canceled due to COVID-19. The travel industry is suffering tremendous money loss and debt. What we wanted to do is we had to come up with creative ways to offer immediate assistance to our industry to not only survive this crisis, but rather thrive. With over 2 billion travelers not getting refunds from airlines and canceled trips, not knowing when they'll get to travel again, and obviously in a huge financial crisis, we saw this as a great opportunity to create a marketplace that will answer travelers' needs while creating immediate cash flow for hosts and hoteliers. At that point, we decided to create that marketplace. Our solution is basically creating the VACAYZ Vault marketplace, which is doing is providing hosts and hoteliers advanced payment on bookings by offering travelers huge savings on future vacays. What we're doing here is we're saving money for travelers on future bookings. We're creating money right now for hosts and hoteliers in order to survive this crisis and not go bankrupt, and we're saving the travel economy. So how does it all work? Travelers pays upfront for up to 40% guaranteed discount. By doing so in advance, VACAYZ is able to pay the cash advance right now to the selected host or hotelier. The traveler can come back to the platform anytime in the future within the expiration date of the discount, which means up to 5 years, and can use it or resell it for a commission. And I'm gonna give you an example. Let's talk about $1,000 worth of reservation. Let's say you know that you need to get to Amsterdam. You might even already bought tickets for Amsterdam and you did not receive your money back from the airlines. So you know that you'll get there, you just don't know when. And so you'll go into the marketplace, you'll search for a property or a hotel chain in Amsterdam of, let's put an average of $200 per night of 5 nights. We're talking about $1,000 worth of reservation. The hotel chain will tell you, okay, you decide how much advance payment you want to put right now. If you decide to put 20%, for example, you will receive 20% discount on the entire reservation. So right now you're putting down only $200, but that $200 is now worth $400. So when you're coming back to purchase, you only pay the remaining $600. And you can come back at any time. You don't have to select the dates in advance. You don't have to worry about when you'll use it. And if you decide to change your plans and not use it, you can come back to the marketplace and sell it to someone else. If you have someone else that you know is traveling to Amsterdam, you can sell it for them and make profit, make return of your investment. So if you put down $200, but it's worth $400, you can sell it anywhere between $200 to $400. Let's talk about the business model. When travelers prepaying for the discounted VACAYZ, VACAYZ receives 8% on each reservation, a monthly average of $200 per host. I'm talking about host on Airbnb with properties, and $1,200 per hotelier that has multiple rooms and typically end up selling a lot more credits every month. The market is huge. We're talking about over 22 million listings worldwide with over 2 billion travelers in a market generating over $700 billion a year. The go-to-market strategy is interesting, actually, because we're not focusing on consumer. We're going B2B. So first, we're adding global strategic partnerships. We're adding boutique hotels and hotel groups. We're creating partnerships with credit card brands and airline companies and travel agencies. And then we're basically going after large-scale B2B sales by going after international businesses and corporate travel management platforms to attract those businesses. And I'm going to dive into it for a second and just explain it for a second. If a business has offices worldwide and they have a budget every year for travel, let's say $1 million budget for travel for their employees, and this year they ended up not using it, in order for that budget not to go down next year and the following year, they need to use some of it, at least some of it this year. And in order for them to save on burn rate and be able to use that anytime in the future, we're coming to them and saying, hey, why don't you put in advance without having to basically choose any dates or choose when you will use that budget, but just put that money in advance now. Use that on this year expenses, meaning using that before the end of the year. We will help you basically use that in the future. And by doing so, we're creating that cash advance for the hotelier and the host. We're also creating sense of community because every headquarters can purchase the credits for hoteliers within their network, within their area and their location, so that when they're bringing their employees to their city, they can use it then. Of course, later on, we'll also be doing B2C marketing, but we'll also create marketing kit for the hoteliers in order to attract their guests that canceled due to COVID-19 and their guests that are in their database in order to try to gain from them more leads and more bookings, to create more bookings right now and create that cash flow. The traction that we have right now is that we're using 100 hosts that are using already our platform, our software, in order to reach out to at least 10 guests each that canceled their trips due to COVID-19 and have them put that 20% in advance. We're talking about 1,000 reservation of $200 average per reservation. We're talking about $200,000 in revenue goal. We closed a huge partnership with a company called Rentals United. Rentals United is the channel manager that has established API connection to over 150 different websites, including the big ones, which are Airbnb, HomeAway, Expedia, Booking, TripAdvisor, and so forth. And we have an exclusive partnership with them that they're basically sending us all of their 1 to 9 property hosts with over 500,000 properties. We're talking about over 60,000 leads to host. Our target is to get to 10 million run rate in the next 24 months. We're seeking 2 million to accomplish sales team expansion, product development, and marketing efforts. We've closed the pre-seed last year with 200K. So this is our seed round. We already have a lead investor. I myself invested as well in the company, over $300,000. Let's talk about the competitive advantage. What we're trying to do here is not compete with the other competitors like Airbnb, Expedia, HomeAway, TripAdvisor, and Booking. We're trying to change the way people book travel. We're the only platform that's creating new sales opportunity, flexible booking models, and generating that immediate cash flow for hosts and hoteliers. We have a great team. We have an R&D center in Israel with our CTO and a few more developers. The sales and marketing is in New York. We have also really great advisors on our team that are with us, connecting us, helping us. For example, we have Daniel, who is the VP Growth Initiative at Hippo Insurance. He's actually helped us connecting to Boost Insurance when Boost Insurance is protecting our model and basically ensuring businesses and travelers that are booking in advance and putting that cash advance that their money is worth, and that if by any chance a hotelier or host go bankrupt, that their money will be returned. So that's what we're securing, and we're backing this up by insurance company. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much, and I would love to answer any questions.
Great. And before our champions jump in here, I want to invite our audience to also ask questions using the Q&A box here. Please start your question with Q4, and whoever it's for. We may not get to those immediately, but we will try to get them at the end of the session if we haven't already. Let's turn this over to our champions. We've got about 8 or 9 minutes here to engage in a conversation with Ali, back and forth, free flowing. So feel free to just jump in and take it away.
Hi, Ali.
Hi.
Erev Tov. That was good evening in Hebrew. I actually have 2 questions for you. The first one is you're trying to build a destination site in travel, which is, I had my third startup was in travel, and one of the big no-nos was to create a destination site B2C in travel, because it's almost an impossible mission to get users to go to your destination site. So it's a little bit of a suicide to I see it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And the second thing is, I think that you might be facing something which is not necessarily a business, well, eventually it's a business thing, but the main challenge I think today is that people, I mean, we all understand that eventually travel will come back, but we don't know when. And okay to give away money now in order to get a discount of $200 in 2 years, but I prefer to have these $200 in my pocket right now than who knows what's going to happen in 2 years. So especially now when the economy is in such a crisis, I think that people are more saving money in 2 years is important, but it's more important to have the money. So I wonder how do you see this?
Awesome, good questions. Okay, so I'll answer first your first question. I'm not aiming to be another channel that competes with Booking or Expedia. People can purchase the 20% advance with VACAYZ through travel corporate management platforms, for example, without having to even go out of the platform, meaning doing that through API for businesses, and complete the booking directly on booking.com or directly at the hotel. The idea is not to replace and create a destination website. The idea is to create here a marketplace where businesses and travelers have the flexibility of not having to create a reservation when they don't know when they will use it, but they can purchase that booking in advance. You can look at it as like option market for travelers in a way, where some people can even use it as just purchasing in advance those credits that have higher value and then later on reselling them just to make that profit, that return of their investment. So you can look at it as people will purchase an investment ahead of time and then resell it later on. The idea is that we're keeping it involved for them. The idea is that we're securing it for them, is that we are using an insurance company to secure the model. And by doing all of that and creating that flexibility, we're basically creating that cash advance for the host and the hoteliers. What we're trying to sell here is that advance payment that Booking.com is not selling, because Booking.com will tell you, okay, You can purchase now a reservation. You can make a booking. You have to select the dates. You don't have to put money in advance, but you select the date. So even if a hotel right now puts a lower price on booking.com, and you purchased it, but those dates are no longer relevant for you because you end up not using those dates, you'll need to go back to the site, cancel it, and then choose different dates that could be much higher. So the idea here is that it's free cancellation, and the hotel is not receiving any cash advance. There is nothing here for the hotels. Same thing with Airbnb for properties. Airbnb, if you make a reservation now for next year, which people are making a really long time in advance, I myself received the reservation for next May. Airbnb is keeping the funds. They're not releasing the funds until the guest is checking in. So the idea here is that we're creating that cash advance right now for hoteliers, and we're willing to give all kinds of different benefits and flexibility to the business or to the traveler in order to do so.
Let's pause here and have our three other champions an opportunity to jump in with a question, a concern. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I find interesting, it's really a factoring business, and I'm not so sure. I tend to agree with the issue. The consumer right now is very mindful of their financial situation, given all the volatility out there. So I would veer away and go to businesses, because businesses know fairly predictably know how much money they spend on travel. Large businesses. So take a Fortune 2000 company. They say, I spend $28 million a year on travel. For them to be able to save 20%, that's something that they can evaluate, something they can control, something that they could certainly be interested in. I could see be interested in. So I'm wondering if maybe, and they all have, these large companies have people who have an internal department that manage their bookings and reservations, and they have relationships with companies like Carlson Wagonly and American Express. So they have the sophistication to understand how these discounts, and they can manage this. But that's if you think of factoring and the cost of money, if the cost of money today is like 3% or a point over LIBOR, which is like free, and you're offering a 20% discount, there is an absolute huge financial arbitrage. But you have to be fairly sophisticated to want to be able to take advantage of that. So I'm just thinking out loud when I'm hearing this. When I was running a large company with a big travel budget, this would certainly appeal to me if I believed I could actually save this type of money. And it would be something I'd ask my travel people to take a look at. As a consumer, do I want to try to save $200 on travel I don't know about? I don't know. Not me personally, but I'm sure there are other people out there that would do that.
Great. Radhika, Alex, anything you want to throw in here that we could get on the table?
Yeah, I agree with both Aaron and David in that point. I thought, Ali, your business model was geared towards B2B, but your examples were more on B2C side. So I was a little confused with that part. Having said that, the other thing that I would like to throw at the table, and this is what we've seen recently, is with the way things have changed, a lot of things have moved online and virtual, which shrinks the budget for corporate travels too. And I'm not saying this is 5 years or 7 years down the line, but if you say your budget or your planning is for 5 years, I'm not sure if a corporate will be willing to take that risk, because you don't remember half the things you have done. And that money is kind of putting it in a Vegas slot machine where you can tend to forget about it. Number one. Number two, I also think that if things are moving more towards online for the next 2 to 3 years, probably the mindset has to be changed for people to go forward to plan for the year 4 and 5 to say, yeah, physical travels will come up. I'm not saying they won't, or they're not coming up next year, but they are not at that level that it brings that type of attraction to the corporates also to say, yes, we are willing to do that. That's my only 2 cents. I'm not trying to dispute anything, but from what I have seen with the latest change, I just thought that should be something to share with you.
Ali, we'll definitely give you the last word here. In the interest of time, I just want to make sure we get everything else out. Alex, anything you want to add at this point?
The only thing I want to add, Ali, what I can do to try your hypothesis, I can connect you with 3 people Rahim Amidi is the founder and chairman at Plug and Play. They have a real estate, business. They own probably 8, 10 towers in just downtown LA, and they're all full furnished. And they're trying to rent out those full furnished apartments. So maybe that is a good connection for you to see if you can have a collaboration with them. Second and third person is Glenn Fogel, is the CEO of Priceline. Also, if you are interested, I can connect you to him. And Victor Coleman is the CEO of Hudson Pacific and their innovation team. So I think these 3 people that are in real estate and maybe, I don't know how does it work, but we can take it offline. I will more than happy to make an intro for you to see how you can have a collaboration and work with them.
Thank you.
Ali, anything you want to add here in response to any of these thoughts?
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate all the feedback. I totally understand. I mean, we're in everything is unknown at the moment. So it's very hard to kind of give anything into the future and really know where this is going in terms of timing. And so what we're trying to do here is to really help all the companies creating rev share models with any company in the industry. And I'm talking about especially if it's travel agencies, if it's corporate travel management platforms like TripActions, Arbitrip, Ignicia, and connecting through them via API, building white labels and allowing them and allowing businesses to book everything seamlessly through that and not really build the brand and focus on creating another destination website, like you said, around. And so the idea is to create that option market, to give them all the benefits, to ensure them that their money is worth it and that it will be worth it for them in the long run. That's the idea here. And by doing that, we're creating sense of community. We're helping the travel industry. We're helping create rev share models for a lot of companies that are right now really, really struggling. And of course, the main idea, creating cash advance and cash flow for those hosts and hoteliers in order for them not to go bankrupt.
I have one small comment, if I may.
Go ahead, Eran, please.
Ali, one small thing that I have in mind. I heard during the first 2 or 3 weeks of when the Corona outbreak, there was a friend who said, let's go to the local coffee shops in the town, and we will get the neighbors around to buy coffees in advance, because everyone wants that when the Corona will be over, the coffee shop will still be there. In fact, what you're saying, if you go to to high altitude, what you're saying is not necessarily in travel, but you can take it to whatever people buy. You can say, buy now. Even like if you need toilet paper, you can buy now 1,000 rounds of toilet paper, and you will use it in the future in return for a discount. So you can do that for everything, not necessarily for travel. So maybe you got stuck in travel, but if you rethink, you can find different areas where you can actually take the same, like David said, like this is, you can reuse money or refactoring, there was the term that you used. You could potentially take it to other industries where people are actually buying it right now and are using it right now. And just look deeper into the model, maybe look at a different angle of this.
Marvelous. Thank you, everyone. We're going to move on. Humphrey, I see your question here. We're going to get to those audience questions later on. In the interest of time, I want to go to our next founder, and thank you for that. Ashley Crowder, CEO and co-founder at Ventana. Ashley, I'm still waiting for my hologram that's going to be 13 years younger and 35 pounds lighter. You're doing very interesting work. Ashley, take it away and tell us a little bit about your company, your vision, how you got here, what you're solving, all that good stuff.
And I was muted. We're very focused on apparel and footwear right now, but someday we can help you with that. So yeah, my name is Ashley Crowder. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ventana. I got my bachelor's and master's degree at USC in engineering, which had a partnership with the military called ICT, where the military funded research in 3D, AR, VR, spatial computing. So that's where I first got introduced to this world. And I was like, it is going to change everything from how we work to how we learn to how we play. And now I'm so excited that we're in this really watershed moment, this unprecedented time where everything was moved to the digital. And thank you everyone for joining us on Zoom, because while Zoom is great, it is still a 2D video, and I know people are getting zoomed out. So we're here to help people create more 3D engaging experiences quicker and faster and at scale. Having a 3D version of a product has proven to double online conversion rates because people have such a better understanding of what it does. If you take that one step further and use augmented reality to place that item in your home or do virtual try-on, companies like VACAYZ have seen and people are 11 times more likely to make a purchase. And it has reduced returns by 40%. This is a huge value to the bottom line. It's also made it faster to go to market. With 3D rendering, you can actually sell products online before you even make them. You no longer need to actually make a prototype, so it's saving you money and it's helping the environment by limiting waste. The problem is digital tools have not kept pace. People are using storage and content management systems that were designed for 2D content, like Dropbox and Box and Google Drive. And on top of that, people have made these files in all different formats, and it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. So what happens is people rehire agencies to rebuild these different files and use them in these custom one-off ways. Because of that, it's been really expensive and time consuming. On average, it's about $2,500 per 3D asset, really depending on complexity, and can take about a week of time to create a 3D web and AR experience, depending on what you're doing. With Ventana, we've built an automated software platform all housed in a 3D content management system to make this easy and instant. So our software is a SaaS-based model, ends up being less than $4 per product per month, and the experience gets created in about less than a minute. We fit into an existing design process today. So as I mentioned, right now we're very focused on apparel and footwear. Just like Amazon started with books, we are starting in one area and expanding into other industries. So many of these companies design in 3D today using programs like Clo, Browseware, Optitex, Maya 3ds Max, or if they don't, then we can 3D scan them through our 3D scanning partner network. Any of these files can be immediately uploaded to our platform. So the issue is these manufacturing design files are way too big. This couch, for instance, it's almost 200 megabytes. Your website would crash if you tried to put it on there, let alone your mobile phone. And these programs don't provide, the right formats. So instead of hiring a 3D artist to manually sit there, you actually can just upload this to our cloud platform. Our smart algorithms understand the shape, automatically optimize and create a shareable 3D web viewer with built-in AR. When you look at the competitive landscape, you've got Sketchfab and CG Trader. They looked at this problem and they created a marketplace. So yes, you can hire a 3D artist in India or China is less expensive than a 3D artist in LA, but there's still time associated there. So where we really win is helping companies at scale. Adidas is one of our clients. They launch 25,000 products a year. That quickly becomes unmanageable if you don't have automated software like this to do it. As I mentioned, it's all centralized in a cloud content management system to make it easy for global teams to collaborate and view. And it has an instantly shareable 3D web viewer with built-in augmented reality. So again, you just upload what you have and you immediately have a link that you can share. We have major partnerships to help scale. So we are part of the SAP App Center. So working with SAP Commerce Cloud, which supports the websites of Adidas, Walmart, other large retailers. We are their 3D web viewer of choice. We also are integrated with Shopify in a similar way, and we're in the process of getting on the Adobe Commerce Store, which are all great sales channels for us. In addition, we've partnered with advertising platforms. So you can actually advertise in 3D today on Google, Facebook, Snapchat, Unity, and Verizon's ad platform. The issue is, again, people aren't having the right 3D files and formats. That's where we come in and help. So we've set up partnerships with all these ad networks who are passing clients our way so we can help them quickly and easily get a 3D ad up on these platforms. As I mentioned, our business model is SaaS. Right now, we charge purely based on the number of files that you upload, and you'll see these numbers are really high, starting at 500. We are an enterprise solution focused on solving this problem at scale. for large companies like Adidas and Cotton Inc. And the market is massive. If you think about everyone who has a product that they're selling online, we looked at e-commerce companies doing at least $50 million in revenue. At our average yearly SaaS mark, it's $48,000 a year, which is a $1.2 billion company. And as we know, e-commerce is only growing. Pre-COVID, it was growing at 10% CARG, and from last April to this April, it was a 68% increase. And what's so interesting about that is AR Artillery did a study that once people said if 3D and AR could make them comfortable enough to make a purchase in their home, they would never go into a retail store again. People's lives and haven't just changed for right now, it's changing attitudes and kind of actions moving forward, which is all on the upward trend for e-commerce and 3D. So if any of you have your cell phone on you, you can actually take it out and open your camera and you can scan this QR code and check out this 3D Adidas shoe. So you can actually try it yourself. Right now, as I mentioned, we're focused on apparel and footwear companies. So we would love to connect with more if any people have connections there. We've also been closing out our $6.5 million round. We raised 5.3 million. So we have about $1 million left and looking to bring on strategics who can bring value from like a SaaS perspective, as well as relationships to bring on more clients. And so that's it for me.
Marvelous. Thank you so much. Love what you're doing here. Let's turn it over to our champions. Jump in with your questions, and maybe let's get a couple of them up there, and then you can respond to them kind of round robin as you like. Ashley, go ahead, champions. What are your thoughts, questions, concerns, insights?
I'll go first here because I think I saw Ventana as one of the companies. Ashley, could you tell me which 5G labs you were working with? And I think I saw the demo for one of our products too. So could you share a little bit into that?
Definitely, yeah. So we're part of the Los Angeles 5G lab, which like opened April,
Yes.
but virtually. Yeah. So we actually helped with that. We helped optimize some of the like architecture drawings so they could put them in VR. So when we talk about optimization, you know, architecture, massive file, it has to be smaller to get it into VR.
Yes, because I remember the name coming through. Two questions I had, or two thoughts I had. One is you should definitely check out Masterpiece because what you said and some of the challenges you mentioned is something that they are working on very strongly. They're based out of Toronto, and they're actually rocking those problems really, really well. So you should definitely check out Masterpiece. Let me know if there's something as a discussion or a collaboration you want to do with them. I'm happy to introduce that. The second thing I wanted to find out was similar to what you're doing, there's another company that came through our lab in Silicon Valley, and we were kind of going through the same cycle. One of the questions I had is, I know that you're going through apparel and footwear, you said, right?
Yeah.
So apparel and footwear, you're saying that they don't have to make the product, but they can buy the product. So could you explain a little bit on that cycle? Because typically the purchase to a delivery is a 2 weeks max. And after that, the customer interest dies down. So I'm trying to understand, if they're not having the product ready and you're saying in 3D they build it and they're not even able to test it on themselves, can they test it on themselves in virtual reality or no?
So so you've got the B2C sale, which you're talking about, but you also have the B2B sale. So if you design clothing and footwear, you also sell to Nordstrom's and Saks and everyone else. And no one right now can do those in-person meetings and get those samples there. So what a lot of our clients are doing are actually building online digital showcases of their products for that B2B sale.
Okay, I'll take it offline with you because the questions I think it'll take a lot more time. This is one of the areas I've been working on or have worked in the past, and I'm still working on it. So I do have some thoughts and questions for you because those are some of the challenges we are seeing from the lab point of view, and definitely would like to share some sight onto that.
Yeah, I would love to connect after.
Perfect. And Radhika, everyone, that's exactly one of the intentions of these roundtables, is that they begin conversations that you carry on outside of our virtual environment here. So thanks so much for that offer. Any other champions who want to engage here? Alex, David, Aaron, thoughts, questions, concerns, insights?
Only say that 35 years ago, a company called Trinitex, IBM, CBS, and Sears got together to create, before the internet was around, to create a private internet for e-commerce to sell these types of goods. And the person who was responsible for the apparel side, I actually knew, and they identified right up front the biggest challenge was going to be is not being able to provide good enough visual experience for people to buy the products. 35 years later, it looks like we may have found a solution. So I congratulate you if you cracked this one.
Yeah, well, and that's timing is everything, right? With any type of technology, because not only do people need to be ready to adopt it, but we're in a point where you've got Microsoft, HP, Facebook have invested billions of dollars within this space. So we're at a point where, Google's web viewer is readily available. That is a standardized component that you can engage in. ARKit and ARCore are solving the viewer aspect and the try-on. We don't have to solve that. We're solving this. How do we get this 3D file in the right formats and easily distribute? So we're really at that right time to do.
Well, if you can make it easy and the experience is of high quality, it just sounds like this is a problem that's been around for a long time. I mean, it's so annoying because I love to shop online. Most of the stuff I buy doesn't fit when I get it, and I never send it back. So that's just because it's just too much of a hassle. I bought some Birkenstocks last week. They showed up. They're at least a size too big. Who knows why? They're exactly my foot size. And what am I doing? I'm walking around in Birkenstocks that are a size too big because I'm not going to put them back in the box and send them and wait another week. So there's a real problem here, and I'm not surprised that if you can solve that and inconvenience. And I think you're on it with the Adidas. You just got to go get Under Armour and Nike and everybody else. But it sounds like you're making good progress. It's not really my area of expertise, but I do know people in the space. And if I can think of a contact that will help you, I'll connect with you after.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Aaron, Alex, anything to add here?
I have a quick question, Ashley. Why are you going only towards enterprise deals and not SMBs? Obviously, I mean, e-commerce is booming and there are so many new stores opening every day. Why are you just ignoring that?
Yeah, so there's kind of two reasons for that. One, as a startup, we can't boil the ocean, right? So we don't want to try and go after every single market. We want to be specific about our client. The other is the tools we've built are specifically enterprise tools. So we focus on people who are designing in 3D today. So they are actually designing and manufacturing their product. And so most of those people are larger companies, or it's the D2C. Like we're also working with Casper, for example. And so if you design and manufacture your product, that is what automatically plugs into our software and is plug and play.
Got it.
So actually, because I know that we have been in touch for a few years, so I don't have any questions for you. But these are two people. One is Carlos. Carlos is our champion. He's in vacation. He's not here today, but he's in charge of all the Media Pro. They have contract with Real Madrid, with Barcelona, with all the sports teams. That is, I think, definitely if you feel that might be applied to your sport, maybe you can work with them. The second one is our champion from Channel. That is, she's with the team on the innovation teams. And I don't know if these two contacts is useful for you. I would be more than happy to connect you to these two people.
Yeah, thanks so much. I will definitely check it out and follow up with you.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to have some time also at the end of our session, if we keep things moving, that we can have even founders asking each other questions, sharing ideas. But let's move on to our next company. Eddie Yang is co-founder and CEO at Visual Feeder. Welcome, Eddie. Thanks for being here. Give us some insights into what you're working on and what's interesting and compelling about it.
Hey guys, how's it going? Nice to meet you. I can share my screen one sec. Okay, so yeah, I come from a background of working in digital media and advertising, and just working with a lot of companies, I found a big pain point that what we're working on now is what we're doing is on a mission to innovate outdoor media. And I like to start off with a question is, how would you like our cities to look in the future? Well, here is a glimpse of our current reality. Retail is struggling. Commercial vacancy rates are at an all-time high of 15%. It takes between 8 to 24 months before vacant space can even become leased. And because of this downtime, there's over $15 billion in missed revenue every year. So this damages our communities, and with the current effects of COVID, the numbers are due to increase. So we looked at ourselves as, how can we optimize these spaces? We provide a way to utilize these spaces during the downtime. So with my background in working with top companies in designing brand activations using the latest emerging technologies, we took our experience and developed an exciting solution for this. Visual Feeder transforms unoccupied retail windows into high impact brand experiences. We provide advertisers a new platform to display immersive video content while also helping landlords to monetize their space during the downtime. The interaction between brands and consumers should be a two-way dialogue and have mutual value to build genuine engagement. We optimize vacant retail windows to create advertising opportunities that reach target audiences in unexpected ways. So our market is pretty big and massive. Companies will spend over $50 billion each year to reach their audiences outdoors in physical spaces. So usually these budgets are allocated to transits, street furniture, and billboards being the largest market share. But the problem with traditional out-of-home advertising right now is that it's nearly been the same for the past 100 years. They're outdated, they're expensive, they're static, and the biggest problem is, how do we know if they're working or not? They only give out estimated impression rates. So we fix all of that, and we are due for a new innovation in outdoor media. Our systems can be installed into any unoccupied retail window to transform it into a large-scale display at street level. Our solution allows advertisers to be dynamic and interactive capabilities that draws in 10 times higher engagement rates than current products. We also provide metrics that show that the campaigns are working and to return a better ROI metrics for the user. Each window receives a real-time dashboard and a sensor where we can track the unique view count, the actual impression rate, and the attention time to quantify the effectiveness of each campaign. So this is not just a hopeful concept. We're actually putting this into market. We worked with Lyft Rideshare to use our technology to display their video campaign content all over downtown Chicago. We created large-scale holograms for Adidas and to promote their new shoe launch of the Night Joggers. We also partnered with major malls in the nation to utilize our technology into their vacant retail spaces to convert them into large visual displays. And most recently, we've worked with the CDC to provide our windows as message boards. So we cover the equipment and setup costs in the first month of activation. And then apart from landlord revenue share, the additional months of running advertisements are pure profit. On top of that, we can reuse the equipment many times over on new locations, and we can rotate many advertisers on the same window to generate additional revenue. So this means that we can create a lower barrier of entry for SMB businesses that want to advertise in physical spaces. Just in the past 3 months, we have onboarded over 250 new properties to opt into our service. And we're working with top brokers in the industry to bring in more every day. We know brands as our expertise. These are not just affiliations, these are all paying clients that have used our service and advertise with us. So our experience with brands provides us a clear understanding that companies are always in search of new creative ways to engage with their customers and reach them in a new engaging way. So we're looking for partners that share our vision and would like to join us on our journey. And, I'd love to be the ones to create the future of our cities. So thank you. Adrian, I think you're muted.
You're mute.
Look at that, the ever-ending mute button. I think, isn't it, you're on mute is the new phrase of 2020. So thank you so much, Eddie. There's a lot here. Champions, there's an opportunity here for questions, concerns, insights, and so on. Take it away.
I can start first. Edward, I think two people I can introduce to you. One is there's a new building in downtown called 1027. You can click on the link that I share in the chat.
Okay.
I can connect you to their team. Actually, if you feel that might be beneficial, because they're reopening all these stores. There's nothing right now in those stores. So it might be a good option for you to start working with them, because this is the best kind of case for you to work with. Again, like the Hudson Pacific, I can look at them. I can connect you to their innovation teams. They have multiple innovation teams, either in Los Angeles or San Francisco. Actually, they own the San Francisco port. They're owning a lot of campuses. So I can connect also to that person. And the last one is a Sea of Levity Live improv clubs. I don't know if you heard about the names. All the stand-up comedy shows ordered to Levity Live. So the CEO is a friend of mine.
Okay.
They have a lot of venues across different states. And they have a lot of windows, as you can imagine, because they're kind of in media and entertainment. So that also might be a good option for you to connect to their teams. Especially, I think, because right now they're all vacancies. They have a lot of space, and is COVID-19, it hurt them a lot. So maybe that's a great opportunity for them to kind of somehow kind of generate revenue with the empty places.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll follow up with you on that.
But there's two things that come to mind. One here is that this is a huge CapEx business. I mean, I assume you're investing the CapEx, and the customer, who's the retailer, is buying the service. But something you should think about, because it's just a huge distribution game, is who has this distribution already that you can partner with, because going door to door on this is just not, it's not possible. So in North America, there used to be 4 companies that were in an adjacent space. They provided music to retail locations. The largest being a company called Muzak. They've gone bankrupt twice now, but don't pay attention to that. There's still a big asset there. They have hundreds of thousands of retailers that take their music, but they've also migrated that business to advertising. So if you go into a restaurant now, you'll listen to music, and all of a sudden a Coke ad will come on, or a Sam Adams ad will come on. So they're already in the content space. They're already in the infrastructure space. They already have contracts with every retailer that you need, and that's your partner. They could ramp you up immediately. There's 2 ways to think about this. One is there's 4 guys out there that do it, and go partner with one, and you're sort of a new product line for them that fits perfectly into their business. Another is you go out and say, let me go big or go home. I'll go buy Muzak and I'll transform their business. And if you have an interest in buying music, then we should talk. A company like Muzak to turbocharge your business, we should talk later.
Okay. Definitely. We'll connect with you on that.
David, I love that thought. And as somebody who grew up literally in a radio station, understood the way that side band and was being used in all kinds of ways, and who's fascinated by the idea of legacy brands, kind of bringing them back in new ways. Very cool. That's what Moonshotters Roundtable is all about: big ideas and big vision. Let's hear from some other champions. Thoughts, questions, concerns.
I have a question. I'm trying to understand. You were talking about the retailers whose stores are now vacant and so on. So whose problem are you solving? Is it like the retailers who has the vacancy, or is it the advertisers who are looking to find new areas or new spaces to advertise? So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the problem, one of the main problems where we're looking to help is optimizing the vacancy rates. Utilizing our service for that. But the main problem is that, so in my background with the advertising industry, it's hard to purchase any kind of out of home advertising without knowing any of the specific metrics. So what we're capable of doing is actually providing those metrics. And because of this technology, we have a lower barrier of entry, which we can cater to the small and medium-sized businesses as well to, utilize out-of-home advertising. So it really is I see there's two problems, but our main problem focus is for the advertisers itself to bring in a new higher engagement rate with lower cost. That's the main problem.
So, assuming this is the main problem that you're going after, think of other areas that you could. We're talking about supply and demand, right? So the advertisers are the demand, and the supply is like the vacant retailer shops, right? But in fact, with your technology, which is a simple projector that stands behind of a glass, like every potential window could be a new an advertising space, right? So potentially, if you think a little bit different than the standard, every glass could be now an area to advertise, and every person that lives anywhere in the center of the city on the first floor could lease and make some extra money, and you can find new opportunities. You can combine floors. So I think that the supply challenge, if you're looking at the demand, like they're looking for new areas to advertise, the supply could be innovated in a way other than trying to find those retailers that they have so many problems now. Not necessarily they have attention to look at what you're selling them.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. So a lot of the idea of it is to utilize, what's out already currently and finding a functionality for them, because retail will remain very stagnant, and we don't, just seeing the trends even pre-COVID was retail was dying, and more of these commercial spaces are becoming empty. And this just, because of COVID, it's just helping us more on our supply end as well.
But it's a different problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're saying for the advertiser?
Yeah, I'm saying that you're talking about two different problems. One is advertisers want to find new innovative ways to get to customers. The second one is retailers, they're struggling, their shops are empty and so on. It's two different problems. So this is why I asked, what problem are you focusing on? Because if the problem is that you're focusing on is the problem of the advertisers, then you shouldn't care about the retailers who are struggling and all that. It's a different story. Someone else will solve that problem. You need to focus on other problems, and maybe then you would find other potential customers with supply. They are open and they have more attention right now to listen to what you're selling them. And not necessarily those retailers who are fighting for their lives. These are the people that you need to be selling to. That's what I'm saying.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, the advertisers, they don't talk to you. Their agencies do, and the agencies don't talk to you unless you have enough real estate for it to be meaningful. So that's just the chicken and egg. Like you got to have enough, or you got to have some prized location like in Times Square. So that's a little bit of a chicken and the egg. That's why I think you're going to need a distribution partner to make this happen.
Makes sense.
Two quick thoughts of my own here, Eddie. One is we've seen with other digital display that add blindness and kind of users adapting, unconsciously, the fact that the right margin of every computer screen, eye tracking studies show people just don't even look there anymore because of all the stuff that's been happening. Be interesting to see over time how the increasing amount of visual noise in an urban environment works against the goal of engagement as people pull more inward and look down at the one screen in front of them. Just a thought on that. The second thought I had is kind of random, and that is that there's already companies servicing every large pane of glass in every urban environment, and they're the window cleaners. And just as a kind of off-the-wall channel partner to look at, I wonder if there's something there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's move on here. We'll have a chance at the end for more kind of engagement with our founders. Thank you, Eddie. That was great. Our final presentation is from Max Berwick, who's founder and CEO at BizPsych Labs. So going straight into the heart of the human thing, what's going on between the ears of folks. Max, take it away and tell us what you're up to.
All right, so thanks, Adrian. My name is Max Berwick. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of BizPsych Labs. And to put things really simply is we help investors do team due diligence and to pick the strongest teams, right? A little bit about me personally. I'm a veteran of the US Navy. I served 5 years immediately after high school. So that means I was enlisted. I served as an electronics technician and a rescue swimmer. After I finished my service, I went and got my bachelor's degree in political science with studies in Middle Eastern culture, and then went and did my law degree at Florida International University. And I'm a licensed attorney, licensed to practice in the state of New York, but I don't practice, which I think might be a disappointment for my mom, but that's okay. The core idea here began about 2.5 years ago, and I think this type of an article, many of us have seen this article because it's really popular in things like Harvard Business Review. And it was an article about purpose and performance. And the interesting thing here was that these researchers found that when the specific company, Detroit Energy, was able to have more of a sense of purpose, their value, the stock price it doubled. And so this really raised the question in me, which was, okay, if the people in a company change and their feelings change and their attitudes change, how would we be able to track that in order to give investors insights as far as how the people would impact the profitability of the organization? Now, like I said, I'm an attorney. I am not an engineer. I am not a data scientist by trade. And I recognized that I needed to go find somebody else that was equally as interested in questions like this. So I went to New York, and I was at a veterans event in New York, and I ended up hearing my co-founder speak. And my co-founder, there's a Jewish word. It's called besheret. It's something it's meant to be, preordained. And my co-founder, Alana, she was speaking about a project that she was working on, and she had developed a piece of artificial intelligence that was helping veterans to get access to the right mental health services. So what she was doing was she was having veterans do writing samples, and then she would take these writing samples and then match them to the right mental health services at the right time. So I heard her pitch. I came up to her at the end. I said, we got to work together. And so for the next 2.5 years, we've had a series of different experiments where we've come back to this original question and really drilled down on it. And as far as vision goes, for us, we have a very long-term vision, and then we also have a right now vision. And when we think of the long-term vision, we think of ourselves as an AI company that is developing a core system of analysis that can be used across a broad range of industries. And that goes from anything from dating to mental health to even veterans affairs. But for right now, we're really deeply focused on fintech. We think that that's the right area to focus on right now. We also think it's timely due to COVID and the issues with team due diligence and getting to know people, because there's just this distance. And so our vision right now is to have our analysis in every single business investment. And we're talking about anything from seed stage with angel investors, private equity, crowdfunding, even small business lending. And we even think this has a place in publicly traded companies, where this is something that might be some sort of an index on management teams on Bloomberg or some type of a similar platform. You know, and for right now, I was thinking about you know, what our challenges are right now, and that's something that I really want us to focus on, or I wanted to get feedback on. Is one of our biggest challenges is trust. Not only does our system seem futuristic and kind of suspicious, but also, you know, how can people trust the analysis? So to give you an example of how this plays out, last week we were talking with the VC, and you know, he said to us, "I love what you're doing. I really want to use your tool, but it sounds like magic." And my co-founder, Alana, just responded with a very technical response, which is, "Oh, you know, we can get you the research that you need to understand it." And he fired back with, no, this just sounds like magic. I don't think I believe you guys. So what we're doing is, to overcome that magic and that sense of disbelief, is we're offering investors a fairly in-depth portfolio analysis that we don't charge for. We think that as investors who are sitting on boards of companies or have deep relationships with the people they're investing in, if our software is able to give you insights about these people that you already know and match the human experience of knowing somebody, then we think that creates trust. And on the second side of this is a question of product adoption, right? And that's another concern, which is, you know, for different venture capital firms, how does this fit into the life cycle, right? Is this something that a junior analyst is using, or a junior associate is using in deal sourcing and an initial part of their analysis? Or is this something that is being used later on during the due diligence? And given the people on this call and the champions on this call, I thought that those two questions would be a great place to start, being trust and adaptation. And then obviously any other feedback or questions are more than welcome.
Great. Thank you very much, Max. Take it away, champions. Alex, I know you have some familiarity with what Max is working on. Do you want to share your thoughts, your insights, your questions?
Yeah, I think what Max, you guys are trying to do is great. I think is going to build the next generation of the data-driven analysis for the financial institutions, especially private sector. And so one thing that I know that we already spoke about this, but what do you think about regulations? Do you think that, have you ever talked to the corporations, like not VCs, because VCs are small, they can use your tool, but what about the CVCs, corporations? I mean, have you faced any kind of challenge that they ask you, oh, because of regulations, we cannot assess, like I can't ask about your, you know, gender, I can't ask about your, you know, there's a lot of questions that I mean, the corporations cannot ask. So what about that? I mean, have you ever spoke with them about this?
Yeah, so certain kinds of sensitive information, we're aware of that, and we've been moving further away from sensitive information and really just drilling down on our core data collection, because we're not looking at information about the individual. Like, I'm not asking, you know, are you a man or a woman, or what your position is. We're asking just for writing samples. So in our process, we do it as writing samples now, but as we continue to move forward, it's just going to be a voice recording where we ask a series of questions that are not sensitive in nature. Anything from, you know, questions about leadership to where you see yourself in the next 5 years. So I think it's a great question, and Quite honestly, I think that as we deal with each situation individually, there are unique compliance questions that come about, and those compliance questions and the regulations will largely guide part of our strategy.
I tried to fill the application. I think it was almost 2 weeks ago. I think one thing that I would suggest that you guys add, because the is time, right? It's time consuming. I mean, the more you can save time on the founder side to fill out those forms that you can access, that's that's the biggest challenge that you have as far as my observation. But if you add a kind of estimate, have you ever used SurveyMonkey? SurveyMonkey.
Yeah.
So if on SurveyMonkey, if you put a survey out, I mean, they show you the time that typically each founder is spending like 3 minutes in each section. So maybe because you have different sections, I know that you ask about the founders themselves, you're asking about a lot of questions that have different sections. Maybe you can say, okay, for this section, typically you're probably going to spend between 3 to 5 minutes. So that's kind of an indication for the founders to see how much time they need to spend. Because again, my challenge using your product was that there was a lot of questions. If the founders answer those questions, you're going to have a lot of valuable content and data from not only entrepreneurs, maybe tomorrow employees, maybe corporations using your product to assess and to understand their their teams and so on and so forth. But again, even enable voice. I think you need to give them an estimate how much it's going to take for them to fill out the form. And I'm not sure how you can do that, but even if you can use their LinkedIn profile or kind of public information to populate those data for them, and then they can just verify those information to save their time, and that's much easier to assess and encourage them to fill out those forms.
Okay. As an update, we changed the onboarding process, so it only takes 2 minutes to get to the questions now, so it's much faster, and then you get right into the survey. So, because we'd spoken about that before, so we took that under advisement as far as updating, but thank you.
I want to hear Iran's thoughts. Iran, you're an investor yourself. You have invested in a lot of companies in earlier stage. What do you think about the Max product? Because they're trying to kind of evaluate the teams by like Big Five theory and a lot of theses, not only one thesis. But how do you see that fit within a venture capital kind of industry sector?
Well, in fact, I wanted to ask you 2 questions before I'm going to refer to that questions, because one of the questions is referring to like your go-to market. But Max, you were saying that you were qualifying teams, right? You are helping investors to understand teams versus individuals. So why are you focusing on teams? I mean, what does it mean to focus on teams? Because this is, if I understand correctly, this is the main difference from everything else that I've heard until now about profiling, about, providing some sort of a rate or grade to a person based on whatever information you can get. So this is the difference.
Sure. So the first thing I'm going to say, as far as differentiation, given the type of analysis that we do, the way we gather information is far more accurate than many of the other self-reporting tools on the market. The second thing is that in reality, success of startups is not based on a particular individual. And we have this individualistic focus where that's incorrect. Success occurs in teams, and teams drive the results. And so we're saying that we should be looking at teams holistically and analyzing what's their likelihood of success, and more than just their likelihood of success. First of all, are these people going to get along? Number one. Are they aligned on the same mission? Number two, and are they going to be able to work together, or is this team going to collapse? So we're looking at many other factors besides just that, but that's why we chose to look at teams as compared to the individuals.
So I think that the team is a good, in a way, a good twist, because it's a little bit different, but I mean, as an investor, I meet with many teams. I understand the importance of a team, but there are so many data points that you can collect like before you get to a meeting to understand if this team could potentially succeed or not. But then eventually this is something that you need to see, you know, how they speak to each other, how they let the other person answer before they jump in and all that. So it's a little bit different in startups. But my question was, and this is what I'm trying to answer, and also to Alex's question, why are you going in the direction of, why is your go-to-market going to startups and investors? Because it feels like, I mean, as an investor, it feels like this is an art. It's not a science. Investing is, especially in early stage, it's an art. So I wonder, I can potentially look at all the data points that I collect, like this person graduated from Stanford, they've been working together for 10 years before, these people came from Google and all that. But I wonder why you're going in that direction. And maybe if you have this ability to look at teams and understand if they can potentially work together, maybe you should go to like small, medium, large corporates and look at their teams and maybe try to optimize their teams and say, you know, let all those 10,000 employees go through these questionnaires and then show me the teams that are working right now, and I will optimize the teams for you. Like, you can save a lot of money, like as an organization, if the team is optimized.
You know, you're bringing up some really great points as far as our decision making as a team and why we chose this particular market. The first thing is, part of what you're saying at the tail end is you're talking about an HR service, and that marketplace is pretty crowded. You have HBDI, you have Predictive Index, you have the coaching wing at Deloitte, and they're all using those tools. And what we looked at was something different, which was, you know, what are the factors that have a direct impact on ROI? What types of behaviors do we know that impact ROI and create risk? And what we're doing is, we could say, we'll help you, we'll coach you to make this team better. We don't want to do that. We think that's a very costly solution. We want an AI solution that's very fast, that's able to say within a 24-hour turnaround, when you're doing your due diligence, these are the behaviors that you're likely to occur on this team, and these behaviors impact ROI. And you were saying something initially. You know, it was interesting. I was listening to Alex had posted, or Moonshot House had posted a video yesterday of something from like Ulu Ventures, and he was talking about his particular venture analysis and team and decision making. And he's one of those investors, and his thesis is it's a little more scientific. And I think that in the VC realm, there is a range of different theses that go from more of an art, a lot more heavily touched, and on the other side is more scientific. And I think that one of the commonalities between all of them is, okay, you know, how do we analyze teams? And you're absolutely right. There are so many different data points, and they become kind of messy. And what we want to do is just say, listen, these are the behaviors that we know that have an impact on ROI. It's a much simpler method of comparison by making it a little bit more narrow. And to even simplify it more, you know, right now we want to know who's resilient. Which companies are most likely to be resilient, because that's going to be the companies that are going to survive right now. And before you make an investment, you should have an apples to apples comparison of resilience between two companies.
A couple of quick thoughts for you. Go ahead, Eran.
Sorry. No, what I'm saying is that I understand, but I'm not sure that this is the first go-to market for you. I mean, it feels like, I mean, I would look for a much larger market. And this seems like a little bit of a small market where, you know, you need to convince people that this is actually, you know, that the ROI and the ROI calculator, if you will take years, right? So it's really a challenging, you chose a challenging first industry. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's really valuable thought there. For you, Max, you've got the word psych in the title of your company. And so I'm going to go completely hard left field here and talk for just a second about Sigmund Freud, someone who almost nobody actually reads anymore. And a great disservice to the complexity of his thought has been done by undergraduate psychology textbooks that have reduced him to a paragraph and a few bullet point terms. We think he's talking about lusting after your mother. what Freud was doing is something very interesting in his early work, which was his core idea was you could take a dream, you could convert that dream to a text, and then you could analyze the dream text to discern insights that were not available to the person having the dream. I think you're actually doing something similar to this. You're asserting, we can take the written or spoken words of people on a team. We can use our natural language processing, our deep learning models, whatever, to extract from that text insights about the individual, but more importantly, I think Aaron is exactly right about this, about the team itself. In other words, we can reveal something in those relations that defines the potential success of this team in this way. I don't know why I don't know why Big Five personality has anything to do with that, because it's a completely different object model. It's presumed to be enduring characteristics of individuals that somehow are pervasive over time. I think what you're actually more interested in is, in this context, given this set of operational challenges, how's this team going to perform? If you can find a way to get people to, and I agree with Alex, I think a voice input is absolutely the direction here. People have to just be able to talk some answers in their own way of speaking. You have to then turn those answers into insights, not only about the person, the individual person, but about the team itself. If you can crack that nut, you're onto something interesting. The other thing I would throw out here is what Google did a few years ago with their Project Aristotle, which was, let's look at teams and what makes effective and high-performing teams. And what they concluded was, as many people are familiar with by now, it has nothing to do with the composition of the team. In other words, it's not, we need one of those and two of those, whether it was on learning styles, leadership styles, action styles, whatever the Colby thing measures, those type of stuff, right? It was that there's something in the contextual, relational aspect of that team, psychological safety, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you could operationalize those insights and develop a tool that would make it very easy for teams to kind of figure out where they're at on this, it would be revealing things that would be beneficial not only to startup founders, also to investors, to HR managers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's in the in-betweenness, those relations, that where the insights really come. Because your fundamental concern here is convincing people like Aaron that your analysis is going to be better than his years of experience, right? His gut, his sense, like, I know what I'm looking for because I've seen it before. And if you can show him and others something that says, yeah, but here's what you're missing, and look at what we can do, this is interesting. All right. That was my little spiel. We've got just a couple minutes left. Time for folks from our audience, other members of the panel, to engage either with Max or with anyone else. Let's have our kind of final session here. Other founders who are still with us, Eddie, Ashley, David, you're still here. Anything that you either want to respond to or ask or contribute, you feel free to do that.
Yeah, Eddie, we should connect after, because I used to work with a number of different ad agencies who I can try and connect you with. So.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, definitely. Great stuff you're making. I really like the stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I've tried to buy furniture using Amazon's version of that thing and sort of never quite, I'm not convinced that the table doesn't actually fit in my room and that I might just have the scale set wrong. So it looks very cool. We had a number of folks, by the way, who had let us know in advance they weren't going to be able to stick around to the very end. Those of you who are still here, both in the audience and on the panel, I want to thank you very much. There's still a minute to sneak in a last question or two. And well, I'm waiting for you to do that either by unmuting yourselves and interrupting me or by typing something into the Q&A box. I want to let you know about our next two Moonshot House events, which are coming up. So we have our social hour Thursday, August 27 at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. And our social hour uses a unique virtual platform. in which you're able to visually move around the room, join different tables, have one-on-one conversations or small group conversations. This only works on desktop, unfortunately. So the link that will be available to you to join the social hour is something you should join from a desktop or laptop, not from a mobile phone. It's just not optimized for that experience yet. But that social hour is Thursday, August 27. And our next fireside chat with Michael Gordon, CEO of Back to Space, founder of Teledoc, with the inimitable Tracy Hazard as moderator. That fireside chat will be happening Friday, September 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific. So those two upcoming events, watch for those. Let's see, we've got a question here. Sasha, nice to see you again. Thanks for being a previous contributor to one of these. And thanks for your feedback on the format and a good discussion. Anyone else here have a burning question, or founders, champions, if there was some way in which this community could help you that we haven't yet addressed, please take this final moment to answer that.
I just want to thank everybody. I thought this was a brilliant exchange of information and ideas. So thank you.
Great, David. Thanks. Anyone else? How can we help you? How could the Moonshot House community empower what you're doing?
Yeah, for me, I'm looking to meet more apparel and footwear companies. And then we also have a 3D scanning partner network. So I'll put my email in the general chat. So feel free to reach out.
Great. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah. And I would love to network with any ad agencies or any individuals in marketing and the marketing decision that's going on.
Cool. Max?
I'm just going to say that, you know, for us, like I was saying, that anyone that wants to try to use the software, anyone that's interested in seeing what the outputs are, we're really looking for feedback. I think that all the feedback everybody said highlights to one particular thing, which is that the insights need to be used a little bit more. And I'd love to see other users testing it out so we can do interviews and get feedback.
All right, really great. Again, where you can connect with other members of the Moonshot House community is, of course, on the Moonshot House app. If you have already downloaded the app and logged in, you know you can go there. You can see the list of members. There's a new idea board where you can post things and comment and engage with each other. If you have not downloaded the app, please look at your email for the link to do that. You start out with a kind of default password. You'll need to change that and kind of create your own profile as you go. On behalf of Moonshot House, and everyone who is contributing their time, their insights, their intelligence, their spirit to what we're building here. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. This is a community we're building for you. We can't do it without you. So please do let us know how we can continue to serve you. We'll see you on at the social hour, August 27, and the fireside chat on September 4. Till then, have a great life. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.